It was in the small village of Ekodo where the pastor came with his Bible, his smiles, and promises of blessings. But what they didn't know was that behind his kind face, the evil inside him would destroy lives forever. My name is Ebuka, and I have lived all my life in Ekodo, a village surrounded by thick forest and peaceful rivers. We live simple lives, farming, trading, and going to church every Sunday. Our church was the heart of the village, where everyone gathered to share stories, pray, and feel the warmth of community. That was until Pastor David came. He wasn't like the old pastors. He was young, well-dressed, and spoke with such confidence. The moment he arrived in Ekodo, he gathered a large crowd with his sweet words. "God has sent me to bring blessings to this land," he said. "You will never go hungry again. Your children will be educated, and your homes will be filled with joy." We were a poor village, struggling with crop failure and a lack of opportunities. His promises sounded like a dream come true. At first, I was skeptical, but my mother always said, "Ebuka, never turn your back on a man of God." So, I joined the others in the church to hear what Pastor David had to say. For the first few months, he was everything a pastor should be. He preached with passion, prayed for the sick, and visited every home in the village. People began to talk about the miracles they saw. Our crops started growing better, and many villagers felt their lives improving. Pastor David was praised, and the offerings grew. But something didn't feel right to me. I began to notice small things, whispers, strange glances, and stories that didn't make sense. People who gave large amounts of money to the church were always praised, while those who gave less were treated coldly. I thought maybe I was overthinking things, but my suspicion grew when I saw Pastor David sneaking out of the church late at night. One evening, I followed him quietly through the village. He led me to a small, hidden house at the edge of the forest. From the outside, it looked like a normal home, but there was something odd about it. I peeked through the window and saw Pastor David, not kneeling in prayer, but sitting with a group of men, counting money and laughing. "They think we're helping them," one man said. "But we're only helping ourselves." Pastor David laughed. "When they bring the tithe and the offerings, I take what I need. Who will know? They trust me, and that's all that matters." My heart sank. This man, this so-called man of God, was stealing from us. He wasn't helping anyone. He was using our faith for his own gain. The next day, I couldn't keep the secret. I told my best friend, Amina, and we decided to gather some people to confront him.
"We know what you're doing," I said. "We saw you last night taking money from the poor. You are a liar." The whole church fell silent. Pastor David's face turned pale for a moment, but then he smiled, his eyes cold as ice.
"Ebuka, you have no idea what you're talking about," he said, his voice smooth and confident. "You are just trying to destroy what God is doing here. These people, these good people, they trust me. I am their shepherd." "But you're no shepherd," I yelled. "You're a thief. You have been using their faith to line your pockets." For a moment, there was a strange stillness. Then, one by one, the villagers began to murmur. Some were too afraid to speak, but others began to question. "Is it true, Pastor?" asked Mama Lila, an old woman who has been in the church since. Pastor David's expression darkened. He raised his hand and said, "Leave now. All of you. If you don't, I will call the authorities. I'll have you thrown out of this village for spreading lies." The crowd hesitated. They had seen the miracles, felt the blessings, and the fear of losing it all held them back. But there were a few of us who didn't back down. "Let him speak," Amina said, her voice steady. "We deserve the truth." Pastor David took a deep breath. His face twisted with anger. "You don't understand. I've given them hope, and I've given them a future. They trust me. Without me, they would have nothing. It was then I realized that this man wasn't just taking money. He was taking something more valuable. He was stealing their hope. People trusted him because he had made them believe he was their savior. But the truth was, he had no intention of helping them. He had only been using their faith to build his own wealth and power. At that moment, the village had a choice. We could either continue to believe in a man who had deceived us, or we could stand up for what was right. With the help of a few brave souls, we exposed Pastor David. The villagers slowly began to see the truth. They stopped giving their money and stopped attending his sermons. The miracle he promised, the blessings he promised, all turned out to be lies. Pastor David left Ekodo in shame, but not before taking what he could. He left behind broken promises, empty pockets, and a shattered trust. The people who had once worshipped him now learned that not every man with a Bible is a true servant of God. A new pastor was sent few months later, who showed us how to serve God and build a relationship with him. From that time, we rebuilt our village, not just with crops and buildings, but with a renewed sense of faith.
A faith not in the words of a man, but in the true God. Because we knew that true goodness comes from within, and no one could take that away from us. Moral lesson. This story of Pastor David serves as a reminder to us all that appearances can be deceiving. Not everyone who claims to be good is truly good. Trust is earned, and only the truth can set us free.